Many people fail not because they are not talented, not because they are not smart, but because of one small thing: their ego. Ego is that inner voice which says, "I already know everything. I don't need advice. I'm better than others." At first, ego feels powerful. It gives you confidence. But slowly, it starts to blind you. You stop learning. You stop listening. And that's where the downfall begins. This book, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, opens our eyes. It teaches that our biggest enemy is not outside in the world, not your boss, not your competition. It's inside us, in our own mind. Ryan Holiday, a modern Stoic writer, explains with real-life examples how ego destroys great people, great careers, and even great nations, and how staying humble and grounded can help us achieve true success and inner peace. So today, let's understand how ego becomes our enemy and how to defeat it before it defeats us.
Lesson 1. What is ego? So, what exactly is ego? Ego is not confidence. Ego is not self-belief. Ego is that fake, loud voice inside your head that says, "I already know everything. I am always right. I don't need anyone's help. I'm better than others." At first, this voice feels powerful. It makes you feel special. But slowly, it starts controlling you. It stops you from listening to advice. It blocks new learning. And it makes you angry when someone disagrees with you. Ego is like wearing dark glasses. You think you can see clearly, but actually, you're walking in darkness. Ryan Holiday says, "The moment you think you know everything, your real growth stops." When ego takes control, we become defensive instead of open. We start showing off instead of improving. We start competing with others instead of competing with ourselves. And that's how ego becomes our biggest enemy. It doesn't let us grow. It doesn't let us connect. It doesn't let us become the best version of ourselves. So remember this: confidence helps you move forward, but ego holds you back. Confidence says, "I can learn." Ego says, "I already know." And that small difference decides your success or failure.
Lesson 2. The 3 stages of life. In life, we all go through 3 main stages. First, when we are learning. Second, when we are succeeding. Third, when we are failing. And in every stage, ego tries to enter our life. At this stage, we are just starting. We are curious, hungry to grow. But ego whispers, "Arey yaar, you already know this. You don't need to listen to anyone. You are smarter than others." And the moment we believe that voice, our growth stops. We stop learning because we think we already know enough. Ryan Holiday says, the biggest block in learning is not ignorance, it's ego. If we want to grow faster, we must stay humble and say, "I don't know everything yet, but I'm ready to learn." Now, success comes, people start clapping, praising, giving attention. And again, ego enters quietly and says, "See, you are special. You are better than others. You deserve this more than anyone." This is the most dangerous moment, because when ego comes in, humility goes out. And soon, success turns into pride. But remember, real success is not about showing off. It's about staying grounded even when you're at the top. The tree with fruits always bends down. That's humility. When failure comes, ego still doesn't stop. It says, "It's not my fault. Others are jealous. The world is unfair." But the truth is, failure is a teacher, not an enemy. If we stay humble, we can learn from it. But if ego takes over, we'll never improve. So remember, ego never leaves you. It changes its mask in every stage of life. When learning, it says, "You know enough." When winning, it says you are special. When failing, it says it's not your fault. But real growth, real peace, and real success come only when we stay humble in all three stages. As Ryan Holiday beautifully says, stay a student, always.
Lesson 3. Ego during learning stage. When we start learning something new, whether it's a skill, a job, or even life lessons, we're supposed to be like a student. But very quickly, ego enters. It says, I already know this. I don't need advice. I'm smarter than others. And this is where most people stop growing, not because they are not capable, but because they stop listening. When you act like a master while you're still a student, you block your own progress. Think about it. If a glass is already full, how can you pour more water into it? In the same way, if your mind is full of ego, no new knowledge can enter. Ryan Holiday says, don't pretend to be a master when you are still learning the basics. Real learning needs patience, humility, and practice, not pride. When you accept that you don't know everything, you open the door to real growth. You start observing, asking questions, improving step by step. Every great leader once said, I don't know, please teach me. And that one sentence made them powerful. Because learning never stops. Even when you succeed, you must still remain a student. Ryan says, be a student always, even when you're successful. That's how you keep growing while others stop. All great people had one common quality. They never thought they knew it all. Gandhi kept learning from everyone. Steve Jobs studied design and simplicity all his life. Even Sachin Tendulkar, after decades of cricket, still practiced like a beginner. That's the mindset of true greatness. Ego stops learning. Humility keeps you learning. So next time when someone tries to teach you, don't think, I know this already. Instead, say, maybe there's something new I can learn. Remember, don't act like a master when you're still a student. Be ready to listen, learn, and practice. Growth happens only when ego is silent. As Ryan Holiday says, stay humble, stay a student. That's how you win in life.
Lesson 4. Ego during success stage. When we finally achieve success, when people praise us, when money and fame start coming, that's the moment our ego wakes up again. It whispers in our ear, you are special. You are better than others. You don't need to listen anymore. And this is how many successful people start falling. Not because of failure, but because of their own ego. When we are struggling, we work hard, we stay humble, we learn. But once we reach the top, we forget those things. We start thinking, now I know everything. Ryan Holiday says, ego is strongest when success arrives. Ego makes us blind. It makes us stop improving. And that's how slowly, everything we built starts breaking down. Success never lasts forever. Markets change, people change, situations change. If you stay humble and keep learning, you grow with time. But if you let ego control you, success turns into pride, and pride always falls. Ryan writes, the moment you think you've made it, you've already started losing it. So even in success, remember, nothing is permanent. We've seen it many times. Famous athletes who became overconfident after winning, businessmen who ignored advice after success, actors or politicians who stopped listening to people. At first, they shined, but later, their arrogance destroyed everything. On the other hand, people who stayed grounded, like APJ Abdul Kalam, MS Dhoni, or Ratan Tata, they remained respected forever because they handled success with humility, not ego. True success is not about showing off. It's about staying thankful, and continuing to grow. If you are winning today, use that success to learn more, help more, and improve more. Ego says, I'm done. Discipline says, I can still do better. Always listen to the second voice. When you win, celebrate quietly, not loudly. When you succeed, stay humble, not proud, because the higher you go, the more dangerous ego becomes. Remember Ryan Holiday's golden lesson. Stay humble even when you win. Don't let success fill you with pride. Ego destroys everything you build. So, don't let your success change who you are. Keep your feet on the ground. That's how true champions live.
Lesson 5. Ego during failure stage. Failure. The one thing our ego cannot tolerate. When things go wrong, ego immediately says, "It's not my fault. People were jealous. Luck was bad." But Ryan Holiday reminds us, ego hates failure, but failure is the best teacher. When something doesn't go our way, our ego starts protecting us. It tells us stories to make us feel better. We blame the teacher, the boss, the market, everyone except ourselves. But this mindset stops us from improving, because if it's never our fault, then we'll never learn. Ryan says, ego makes failure painful. Humility makes failure useful. Once we stop blaming others and start asking, what can I learn from this? Everything changes. Failure shows us where we were weak. It teaches patience, self-control, and resilience, but only if we are humble enough to listen. When you take responsibility, you take power back in your hands, because now you can improve and grow stronger. Think of people like Steve Jobs. He was once fired from his own company, Apple. Many would have given up in anger, but he accepted his failure, learned from it, and came back stronger, creating the iPhone later. That's the difference between ego and growth. Ego says, I'm done. Humility says, let's try again, smarter. In life, everyone fails, but how you react to failure decides your future. If you get angry and blame others, ego wins. If you accept, learn, and move forward, you win. Remember, failure doesn't define you. Your response to failure does. Ryan writes, failure is not the end. It's feedback. So next time when you fail, don't ask, why me? Ask, what can I learn? Because failure is not your enemy, ego is. Failure builds strength, but ego builds excuses. Stay calm, stay humble, and keep learning. That's how you turn every fall into a step upward. Final message. Ego says, I'm perfect. Humility says, I can improve. And that small difference decides who truly succeeds in life.
Lesson 6. The danger of ego. Ego looks invisible, but it silently destroys everything we build. It ruins relationships, careers, and peace of mind. Ryan Holiday says, ego is the voice that talks too much and listens too little. Ego makes you think you're always right, even when you're wrong. And that's how people lose their success, respect, and happiness. When ego enters your heart, it becomes impossible to listen. You always want to prove, I'm right, you're wrong. But every time you do that, you push people away. Ego doesn't care about truth. It only wants victory. It breaks trust and creates distance. Soon, people stop helping or supporting you. So remember, being kind and humble will take you farther than being right. When ego takes over, you stop learning. You think, I already know everything, and that's where growth stops. Ryan says, ego is an enemy of improvement. Because if you can't accept feedback, how will you become better? Even the most successful people stay students, always curious, always learning.
If you want to keep growing, first learn to silence your ego. Ego also steals your inner peace. It keeps comparing you with others. Why does he have more followers? Why is she doing better than me? And that comparison turns into jealousy, anger, and frustration. Instead of focusing on your own journey, you waste time watching others. When ego leads, peace disappears. Many people reach the top but lose peace because ego rules their mind. They forget where they started and they stop being grateful. But in the end, ego never brings happiness, only emptiness. Ryan reminds us, ego is the biggest wall between you and your potential. Ego is like a shadow. It follows you everywhere, whispering, "You're the best. You don't need anyone." But that voice is dangerous. It makes you overconfident when you're winning and blind when you're falling. So learn to control it before it controls you. Final message. Ego says, "I'm special." Humility says, "I can learn." Choose humility, because ego may give you pride today, but humility will give you peace for life. Lesson 7. How to defeat ego. Ego is dangerous, but the good news is you can defeat it. Ryan Holiday gives simple, practical steps to silence that inner voice and grow. The first step is humility. Accept that you don't know everything. Even the smartest people are always learning. Ego says, "I'm above advice." Humility says, "I can learn from anyone." When you are humble, you open your mind to growth and opportunity. Ego loves attention and praise. It wants people to notice your success. Ryan says, "Focus on your purpose, not your applause." When your goal is bigger than yourself, you work silently, stay consistent, and don't get distracted by recognition. True success comes from impact, not applause. Ego stops learning. Humility keeps learning. You can learn from anyone, a junior colleague, a competitor, or even a child. Ryan reminds us, ego assumes superiority. Humility assumes there is always more to learn. If you stay a student of life, ego cannot stop you. Ego wants to show off. "Look at me, see what I did." But true leaders act quietly. Actions create respect, not words. Serve without showing off. Work without boasting. Example, many historical leaders and modern achievers lead silently, focusing on results, not recognition. When you combine humility, purpose, learning, and action, ego loses power. You become stronger, wiser, and more respected. Final message: ego is the enemy when it speaks. Humility, purpose, learning, and action are your weapons. Defeat ego, and you unlock your true potential.
Lesson 8. How to defeat ego. No matter how high you rise, the most important skill is to stay a student. Ego says, "I know enough, I'm done learning." But Ryan Holiday warns us, the day you stop learning is the day you start falling. Stay curious, ask questions, seek knowledge from everyone, everywhere. Learning keeps your mind sharp. Learning keeps you humble. Even CEOs, athletes, and leaders constantly study, practice, and improve. Don't let pride block your growth. It's better to admit, "I don't know, I want to learn," than to pretend and make mistakes. Ryan says, "The smartest people are always learning, and the proudest people are always falling behind." Learning is not enough. You must act on what you learn. Every new skill, every new insight adds to your strength, quietly, without ego. Example,
A student today may become a great leader tomorrow, but only if they keep learning. Ego stops learning, humility keeps learning. The world belongs to those who remain students for life. Final message: stay curious, stay humble, stay a student. Your growth depends on how much you are willing to learn, not how much you already know. Historical examples. Ego has been the downfall of many great people. Ryan Holiday shows us through history, pride can destroy empires, careers, and lives. Julius Caesar's ambition and pride led to his assassination. Napoleon's ego pushed him to conquer too much, and he fell. Howard Hughes' pride and obsession made him lose connections and health. Ego blinds even the smartest and most talented people. But humility can make people unstoppable. Benjamin Franklin stayed curious, learning his entire life. Steve Jobs, despite success, learned from mistakes, listened to others, and innovated. The difference? Ego blocks growth, humility invites it. History proves those who let ego guide them fall. Those who stay humble, keep learning, and adapt rise higher. Ryan says, your ego is always trying to make you bigger than you are. History shows it rarely ends well. Ego is not just a personal enemy. It can destroy kingdoms, companies, and legacies. Look at history. Choose humility over pride, learning over arrogance. Final message: learn from the past, stay humble in the present, and build a stronger future. Ego can destroy, humility can elevate. The choice is yours. Ego in modern life. In today's world, ego grows faster than ever. Likes, followers, fame, and attention, they all feed our ego. We start measuring our worth by numbers, popularity, or approval from others. Social media makes us think we're always right, always special. We compare ourselves with others, and ego tells us you're better or you're worse. This distraction takes us away from real growth. Ryan says, ego in modern life is loud. It shows off. It wants constant applause. True strength is quiet confidence, not loud pride. Focus on your work, your mission, and your growth, not on your image or what others think. Humility in modern life means doing your best without needing constant validation. If you let social media or fame control you, ego will control your actions. If you stay focused on purpose, you control your ego. Ego doesn't disappear just because the world changes. It just takes new forms: likes, followers, fame. Try this. Spend less time on social media and spend more time on what you can create in the real world.
Let's look at the main lessons from Ego is the Enemy. Number 1. Ego stops growth. Visual. Person trying to climb a mountain but weighed down by a giant shadow labeled ego. Ego blocks learning. It makes you think you already know enough. Growth becomes impossible if ego controls you. Number 2. Stay humble while learning, calm in success, patient in failure. Visual. 3 split screens showing a student, a successful entrepreneur, and a person failing but thinking calmly. When learning, don't act like a master. When winning, don't let pride take over. When failing, stay patient and learn from mistakes. Ryan says, humility and patience are stronger than any talent or skill. Number 3. Focus on progress, not applause. Visual. Person quietly working while the crowd cheers in the background. Don't chase fame, likes, or recognition. Work on improving yourself every day. Small daily progress beats temporary applause. Number 4. Be a student, not a star. Visual. Person reading books, taking notes, practicing skills, quietly improving. Success is not about showing off. It's about learning, improving, and growing. Always stay curious, humble, and teachable. Conclusion. Remember, ego is the enemy, but awareness is your weapon. Stay humble, keep learning, focus on progress, and let your actions speak for you.
Ego always wants attention. It whispers, "I want to look great." But discipline, humility, and focus say, "I want to become great." Stay humble. Keep learning every day. Let your work and progress speak louder than words. Ego is the enemy, but humility is your superpower.